Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. Lost my voice a little bit, so we'll see how far I make it this week. We got the Super Bowl, I was going to say the big game, because people say you're not supposed to say the Super Bowl. But as an NFL owner, I say, let's go for it, Matt. The big game's coming up, but let's first talk about the Pro Bowl a little bit. I watched it for the first time. I don't know. I kind of try to keep an eye on it for the show. Normally, there's guys in it that I like and that I want to see. But, like, to me, Mac Jones playing almost like the entire second half, at first I thought, why is he even playing? Like, there's no, like, isn't he a rookie? And then did that many guys opt out? So I pulled up the stats. He's middle of the league, Matt. He's like 15th or something in passing. So I'm like, how is he in the Pro Bowl? And why is he getting so many minutes? Like, did the other guys just show up and are like, yeah, I'll play a series? Because that's almost what it's turning into. And then I see the other comments and all these sports writers, which I believe are just copying and pasting their own articles because they all have the same, like, couple words in the sentence. It's like, the Pro Bowl is back with fans still complaining or fans having similar complaints as previous years. It's like, are you guys just all parroting each other? Like, did someone tell you what to write about the Pro Bowl? Because I just want to watch something that's entertaining. It's not entertaining to see a Mac Jones scrambling around, the whistle's blown because he is so slow. Like, they hit him behind the line, but they don't want to tackle him. And then he continues to run all the way to the end zone and then does a dance for no reason. Like, what am I watching here? Like, I know the guys that are out there having fun, but it's supposed to be the Pro Bowl, the best of the best. I think what they really screwed up is moving it before the Super Bowl. And I get that Super Bowl guys don't want to play another game, but when you have a game that's supposed to feature the best of the best, but the two best teams are not represented at all, you're going to have a drop in talent. Like, you're just going to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the Rams have how many guys that would be playing or should be playing on their own team by themselves, right? And then it's like the AFC won again, and it's like, okay, yeah, a weaker AFC team made the Super Bowl. So now, like, instead of having the Chiefs guys not there and all this other stuff, they're there. Mahomes is there. But for whatever reason, he's on the sidelines cheering on Mac Jones, Matt. That's what I'm supposed to get excited about? And that's nothing on Mac Jones. I know they're trying to push that he's the next Tom Brady. Go for it. Be the next Tom Brady, and then I'll listen to this in 25 years, and someone will send this clip and say, remember when you were wrong on Mac Jones? You idiot. It's like, no, I want to see the best of the best right now. If Mahomes is there, and I have to hear about how great Mahomes is all year, I'm not going to turn into the Pro Bowl and watch Mac Jones run a 2-minute drill to win the Pro Bowl, you know?
Fair enough.
I mean, did you watch it?
Honestly, I forgot about it.
Everyone forgets about it.
Until I started seeing clips come up that I was like, oh yeah, it is the Pro Bowl is today. And I realized that, like, they changed the rules around, or like that they weren't tackling. It was like, what? It almost reminded me of when they had I'm trying to think of who's the running back that got hurt. Was it Kajana Carter or Garrison Hurst that, like, blew his ACL out?
I mean, I remember Garrison Hurst getting hurt. That used to hurt me back in the day, but I don't know.
Playing like they did, like, that beach football tournament before the Pro Bowl. That, like, someone really got hurt, like, suffered a serious injury. At that point, like, I understand that there's some risk with it, but for the players, there's also, like, it should be meaningful to have that experience and that exposure at that level. And it just feels like anymore the players are looking at, like, it's just another opportunity to get hurt, and they should almost do away with it.
Well, I understand what they're doing, and I know that it's a big deal, and other sports put it in the middle of the season and have it as like a break or whatever. The NFL can't really do that. But I just know, like, they complain about bowl games and how the best players aren't playing. The best players aren't playing in this game. It's kind of like the younger guys that are there. And okay, make it a rookie type thing then. Because, like, look, listen, the AFC right now, it's Mac Jones, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Those were the three quarterbacks. Like, I get Mahomes. I know everyone's been hyping Herbert up. But, like, where's Josh Allen? This team didn't make it. You're really throwing Mac Jones in there? In the NFC, it was Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. I get those two. But then Kirk Cousins? Like, nothing says Pro Bowl like Kirk Cousins, Matt. And the Vikings that didn't even make the playoffs?
Correct.
So it's like, oh, awesome. That's what I want to watch. Like, you couldn't get Aaron Rodgers. You couldn't get any of these other guys that are floating around trying to do their thing. Like, where's my man TV? Is his last one. You couldn't be like, hey, we're going to throw you some extra money because we really want you here, Tom. But Tom's like, this is a joke. I don't want to play in this. And they're like, all right, then we'll get the younger guys in it. Maybe that's their idea. Make it for the younger players. Try to make it exciting. I got the TV ratings. It's on ESPN. The one thing, like you said, I thought it was later in the day, like to kind of line up with the Super Bowl. So I randomly lucked into seeing it because it started at 3, and that's right when I turned it on. Because I had looked, and I'm like, hey, I wonder if it starts at 5 or 6. And I looked, and it was like at 3 o'clock, and it's like, oh, I guess it starts right now. I'll just turn it on then. So it was like the luckiest thing because if I would have waited, I would have missed the entire thing. And maybe that's just me thinking that it's later. I just always thought it was later. But the TV ratings came in, and they were awful. And everyone's like, oh, well, it's whatever, blah, blah. They're trying to make excuses. It was 6.69 million viewers, the smallest since 2006. No one compares that number to anything, so I'm going to do it for you. The preseason game, Steelers and Cowboys from this year, 7.31 million, Matt. The Pro Bowl game is getting less than the preseason game, like to kick off the year. That's how embarrassing it's become. And I'm like, who wants to watch it, though? I would rather watch the skills competition. I don't know if they still do that. I didn't even see that hyped anywhere. Because didn't that used to be a thing?
It used to, well, that was going to be a direction that I would say the NFL could take it in if they're worried about like not getting players hurt in the actual Pro Bowl. If you don't want to play it, then you can do some kind of other alternative that would reward some of the top players so that they can do like a punt, pass, and kick style thing, or like whatever some of those older things used to be. You could do it in a way that they're not putting themselves at they're not having to face any extra physical wear and tear.
I just don't know where that works. Like, I could say giving them an extra week in the middle of the season and doing like the NHL and the NBA do and do like a weekend. But then even that, I wonder how many players are just going to say, like, I'd rather take the extra rest because I'm 100 years old. You know? Like, they're not going to go to a field and try to throw their arm out to see who could throw it 100 yards, you know? Like, I could do that. Ben Roethlisberger, torn whatever in his elbow. He's out for the year then. They're like, how did he hurt it? Oh, yeah, he was at that competition they had in Hawaii where he threw the ball over that mountain. People would be like, are you kidding me?
Well,
go ahead.
I did like this idea to one way or another add either an extra bye week or like find a way to bump the season up another week, because one of the issues I've always had going into the Super Bowl is that the Super Bowl always starts late and ends super late. And if you had it over that President's Day weekend, then you could just you could sleep in the following day and not have to worry about getting up and slogging through work on 1 hour of sleep.
Who's staying up that late? The NCAA playoff game or whatever championship game starts at like 9. The Super Bowl starts at 6, Matt. What the hell are you talking about? The game's over by like 10 o'clock.
No.
Yeah, it is.
When it goes into overtime.
When does that happen?
Last year.
Did it?
The year before?
Nah. Let's see. NFL, because Super Bowl start time, I'm pretty sure it's like 6 p.m. And they end pretty early. Let's see. 2021 Super Bowl end time. Of course. Just tell me the end, not your guess. 10 p.m. Around 10 p.m., the games last 3 hours and 10 minutes, plus 25 extra minutes for the Super Bowl.
Look, I just want to enjoy
9:50 p.m. That's your super late 1 hour sleep. What time are you getting up? Midnight.
I'm hyped from the Super Bowl, so I stay up.
Well, Tom Brady's not in it anymore, Matt. There's nothing to get hyped about. You get to watch Joe Burrow, which I'll get into my preview right here. I feel like the Bengals are easily the weaker team coming in. The Rams seem to be stacked. I said that a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't have been surprised if they lost. I think they got lucky playing the 49ers instead of the Packers. And the 49ers, even though the Rams had struggled with them, they didn't have enough weapons in a playoff type scenario. And you saw that, where they had like their trick wide receiver running back come in and Garoppolo forced some mistakes late. It's like, all right, that's the game. Now they're coming with the Bengals. Everyone's looking for the next Tom Brady for whatever reason, which might never happen again. How about we just look for a balanced list of quarterbacks from like the 80s and 90s, where there was like 5 or 6 guys that could win it at any time. Maybe you get a guy like Troy Aikman that wins a bunch. Maybe you throw in a couple, like a Steve Young, a couple of John Elways, where it's like, yeah, these guys are all Super Bowl type guys. I feel like we've had that hype, but the guys that have had it only won once, like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, or like they just never won at all. And I just don't feel like we have as many epic battles at quarterback anymore. You have Mahomes winning once. What if he never wins again? He did have pretty bad stats in the Pro Bowl. I don't know. So everyone's hyping Burrow up. I get it. He plays with a swagger and confidence that a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, they play scared, especially in the playoffs. So I could see them winning. I just don't think the Bengals have enough right now. And Matt Stafford, this is your chance. How many times with the Lions have you blown it?
Megatron.
Yeah, you had Megatron. And he was like, I can't do it anymore, man. I got to just retire. He pulled a Barry Sanders. So you're finally like, hey, I'm out of here. Had some mistakes in the playoffs. Almost lost to Tom Brady because you just decided to scramble with like 1 minute left in the game for some reason. Like, just throw the ball away. Make smart decisions. You try to throw the ball deep. The commentators are saying like, I wonder if something's wrong. Yeah, he's old. He's been playing forever. With the Lions, people forget that he played for how many years. He could retire at the end of this year. Win the Super Bowl and go out on top. I bet Tom Brady regrets it, although he didn't think his whole team was going to get injured and just jump off the field like in the end zone saying that they hurt their ankle. Remember that? Like, he probably didn't expect that, Matt. And how close was he to even getting back here? Pretty damn close for having none of his receivers there. And besides Mike Evans, which Mike Evans, shout out to the man, he played in the Pro Bowl. And I think he caught a touchdown. And I was like, that's like an older guy that actually showed up. The rest of them are like all pretty young. Kamara was there. He had some issues after. Or was that before?
Was the Pro Bowl at Las Vegas this year?
I don't know. Was it? It has to be, right? When did he get arrested?
Because I think that'll be the last time the Raiders host the Pro Bowl.
You say that now. but that has to be, I think that might be their incentive. Get the players there and have them hang out and see whatever happens. But they got to try to get the guys there. Although looking through the list, it's a lot of young guys. I remember the Pro Bowl being full of like vets that you're like, oh, he's playing in his 8th Pro Bowl. Nice. Now it's like I'm looking through and I'm trying to think of like any of these guys that might have been like a lifer. I don't even know. Who would be the oldest guy? James Conner. It's like he's just there after the run with the Steelers, but he's not even that old either. Najee Harris on the other side, young. Like Johnson made it. It's like, can they not find other receivers that can actually catch the ball? How many drops do he have? That's Pro Bowl stuff. Hunter Renfrow made it. I don't know. But anything else you got on the Pro Bowl before I just do finish the turn completely into the Super Bowl?
No, turn full. Make the full turn.
All right. The Super Bowl, like I said, I want to see what happens with these teams because I don't mind Joe Burrow making it or trying to get in. And I think whenever you're looking at it in the long term, there's all these rumors about like Aaron Rodgers going to the Broncos. Okay, cool. That's where he wants to go. Why? I think it's a tougher schedule, right? You have to do Burrow then, Mahomes, Josh Allen is right there. And then Aaron Rodgers would be there. Everyone's in the same conference. That's like asinine, right? Tom Brady left. He went to the NFC because he's like, I'm going to get back to the Super Bowl. I don't want to lose to Mahomes in whatever, the championship game. And I mean, like, even the Browns with Baker Mayfield, I know he was injured and played awful because of it. What if he comes back healthy and this year's kind of just like an asterisk? There's a lot of young quarterback talent in the AFC. I don't know if you're going to be trying to push for like a dynasty type quarterback. I don't think it's going to come out of that side. So, Joe Burrow, take advantage. I'm saying the same thing to Matt Stafford. One of these quarterbacks has to step up and really cement their legacy, I think. What do you think?
Well, I would agree with that, but I also think like if you're looking at that Denver quarterback spot, if Rod, I don't see the incentive to go there because you'd be facing Herbert twice with the Chargers, you'd be facing Mahomes twice, and then who knows what the Raiders situation is going to be, but they've been a wild card. So like that's your division rivals. That's going to be a tough just getting out of the division.
Yeah, that's why everyone keeps talking about it. It's like he wants to win, right? At some point, he has to look at the Packers and say, hey, we make the playoffs pretty easy here. We play the Lions and the Bears twice, and the Vikings. I know they have a Pro Bowl quarterback. He played more in the Pro Bowl than I did. That's what Aaron Rodgers is saying. But he's like, I don't even know at this point. Isn't that almost like 5 or 6 wins a year? Extra? That could be 5 or 6 losses with the Broncos. So not saying that he's not going to do it. But even some of the other quarterbacks that they're talking about, Garoppolo, they're like, he can go to the Steelers. It's like, okay, cool. Then he's like leaving San Francisco. They want him out. They've been wanting him out, which to me is still crazy because it's like he was in the Super Bowl. They want another run this year because of him. And they're still like, you know what? We really don't like you. like, why are you winning? Would you just lose and make it easier on us? And then if Trey Lance comes in and they win 3 games next year, Matt, like, what do the fans say? That's why the 49ers and like ownership annoys me, but I don't know what kind of moves they're going to make or whatever, but we'll see. Because Garoppolo's rumored to go to the Steelers, like I said, and nothing against the Steelers, but right now you have Burrow you're playing, Baker Mayfield, and then the Ravens. You're going to come in, and the Steelers' offense looks like it's kind of just blowing in the wind. We have no idea what's going on. Can't really run the ball, but let's grind the guy into the dust. Anyway, right?
Well, it's like I think every single quarterback in the NFL is going to Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh. Garoppolo is going to Pittsburgh. They're going to draft 3 quarterbacks in the draft. Like, we're just going to hedge our bets and just go with all of the quarterbacks.
Which they're like, yeah, we're not going to go for Kenny Pickett. It's like, why are you leaking that information? Number one, you're going to go with the guy from Liberty, Malik, right?
Yep.
It's like, all right, cool. If you want to go that direction, but your team is not built for that. So,
yeah, it is.
It's not. I'm telling you. They can't do anything, Matt.
Guess what? It's run for your life, which is what Malik Willis can do.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if they go that direction and run for your life. I just don't know if they do go that direction and then Kenny Pickett goes to like another AFC team and then lights it up. It's like, all right, great. Let's see what happens. I don't even know who the higher ones. I mean, Pickett going to like somewhere like the Lions would just be heartbreaking because I want to see him do well. Although Aiden Hutchinson going to the Lions is also heartbreaking. people are like, don't you want to see him go to the Lions? I'm like, no, I really don't care about the Lions. And I don't want to see Aiden Hutchinson, that helped bring Michigan a Big Ten championship and a playoff appearance, get his career destroyed in like a year or two. Although Sue fought back, right? Didn't he get a Super Bowl? Wasn't he with Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah, he stripped Cam Akers. That's right. Wasn't it Sue that did that? Like, and almost turned the entire game around this year. So maybe if Hutchinson gets drafted by the Lions, it will turn around for him. But I'm like, man, at some point, it's like you can't have that much luck as a franchise where you're just constantly burning players around. You kind of just got to blow everything up, and they just don't seem to do that. The Browns kind of did it. Then they tried to blow up their office like 3 times and start over.
Yeah.
And now they got Baker Mayfield that's doing all those commercials about the Browns stadium. Like, he never leaves. He just practices and then does commercials in it. Maybe they do have a house there for him. I don't know. Anything else you have for the Super Bowl or anything?
Well, I think the Rams, I agree with you that the Rams are definitely a favorite. And I think part of it's going to be, is Joe Burrow's swag going to be enough to keep Cincinnati in it? Because they played phenomenal versus Kansas City. I think the game plan was really good, because when they played them earlier in the year, Kansas City just threw the ball all over them and scorched them. And I thought Kansas City was going to run away in the AFC Championship game, and Cincy played them tough. And I think we're looking at that same situation, that who are going to be some of those other guys, because obviously with Ramsey, they're going to have him locked up one-on-one with Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
How are those other receivers going to fit into that?
That's what I was going to say. Because then you need T. Higgins to step up again. And if it doesn't happen, you're hoping that Ramsey can shut him down, Chase, and then go from there, getting pressure with like Aaron Donald and Von Miller. It's like almost insane. Like
now I'll say, if the Rams keep trying to drop Von Miller off in pass coverage, they're idiots. they kept trying to use him in coverage, and it's like, he is a pass rushing line. Like, he's a phenomenal pass rusher. Don't drop him into coverage. Drop somebody else.
Well, I think that the Niners, they were like trying to do something with like a almost like a run type zone read with him, like where they weren't really doing so much coverage. They just didn't expect the 49ers to be throwing the ball all over. I think he was kind of just like trying to do like screen coverage and stuff, which at that point, maybe, I don't know. Because like the 49ers offense wasn't really what the Rams are built to take down. They're built to take down like a traditional offense, like the Tom Brady's and stuff. And then even late, they struggled against him. But it did take a couple 4th down stops, fumbles, and like a bunch of random stuff to even get them back in that game. So we'll see. My final pick's I think it's going to be like 24-14. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I'll probably be wrong, but I think the Rams are definitely going to win. I think they're going to cover. I don't know what the line is. Maybe I should look that up. I know a lot of people do like Super Bowl gambling stuff, but we'll take a look right now, because I didn't look at this beforehand. But I just don't know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow in that offense. I just don't think they're going to be able to make enough adjustments in 2 weeks to really go from there. So that's my pick. What's your pick with the score?
Oh, I would say like a 28-17 or something like that. Like I think it's going to be a weird score.
I mean, the Super Bowl has been like a lot of low scoring ones too with the Rams. Remember when it was like 10-7 or 10-3, whatever that one was?
Yeah.
The Rams are only a 4.5 point favorite, so I think they're definitely going to cover. I would be shocked if they won by a field goal. I know the Bengals played the Chiefs close, but like the Chiefs were right down in the red zone, ready to score and either win or send it to overtime or whatever. And then score to win. They kicked the field goal to go to overtime because Mahomes took that sack fumble where they almost lost straight up. So like, I don't think the Rams, like, they're not going to be that overconfident where I think the Chiefs could have played it faster and just get the score to win. Like, don't get fancy and try to run the clock all the way down at some point, because you should assume that you're the better team. And I think that's where the Chiefs really made their mistake, where even the commentators were like, oh yeah, they're doing this perfect. Mahomes is going to win the game, but then he didn't. And they had no chance to really come back from that. They were just expecting him to do it, and he didn't. And so now I wonder how much of that's going to mess with his confidence next year and the year after or whatever. But that's going to be the main one. Let's see. The over-under is 48.5. What would I have the under, right? Because I don't even have 40.
Yeah.
Or I guess I might. No, I wouldn't. What do you have?
I would say it's probably going to be under.
I know that they came out and like the Bucks and them would have hit the over, I think. But I don't think Burrow has enough firepower with that Rams defense to put up large numbers. They're not Tom Brady yet. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I do think the Rams pull away. You have all the other prop bets that are on here, like jersey number of the first touchdown score, or will the team that wins score first win the game? Who wins a coin toss? Odd or even total points, heads or tails. What do they also do? The length of the national anthem. The first score, what type of it? Remember, people won like tons of money because it was like, wasn't it a safety that one year with Peyton Manning fumbling the ball against the Seahawks? Where it's like, hey, everyone always takes that bet because it has like a low put in there to get a high payout. And then what's the other one? The kick return. Is there going to be a kick or punt return? Because that one year Desmond Howard won the MVP. Didn't he have a kick return for a touchdown? And it was like a lot of people hit on that too. So there are other random bets you can make. The NFL's kind of really gone for full surgical, and they're really pushing for that stuff. But we'll see. Hopefully it's a good game, and we'll be back next week to hit on what our thoughts on and get ready for next year. Anything else you have right now for the Super Bowl?
No, not at this point.
All right, going to get into the Winter Olympics now.
The Olympics are going on?
The ones that are going on, right?
They are going on?
Yeah, what do you think of them?
Well, I don't know, because once again, I feel like it's such a cluster. I was trying to figure out what's on and when's on, and like just a disaster.
I will say that's NBC for you. I was trying to, because I brought up the NFL TV ratings or whatever, and they talked about how, the Pro Bowl's down. The regular season for the NFL was up. So, like, everyone's still talking about where was it? Did I not save the Winter Olympics one? Where it was like, I told it to you. Let me see if I could find it again. Maybe I had it in my other browser. No, I don't. I have a lot of Jim Harbaugh stuff up on that one. Winter Olympics. The opening line was, hey, they opened with a smaller audience, but... So I told Matt, like, whenever they're putting in smaller audience, but... And I know they were going to use the COVID excuse. Okay, TV's down. What are you doing to bring it back up? You know? The NFL came back. Maybe not as high as it was before, but it's been building itself back up. Maybe the Pro Bowl, which is still an awful product, I think, at this point to watch on TV, because it's kind of like a joke, and it's like a half football. I'd rather them get rid of the football completely and do like a 7-on-7 or something then.
Yeah.
Something that might be more fun to watch, where the Olympics, you have it. You know, people are complaining about not knowing what's on, not knowing what's live, not seeing the scores. You mentioned the medal tracker. You keep telling me the United States is losing, which I put in here. It's like, hey, United States is doing really bad. They still don't have a gold, still don't have a gold. It's like, who does? Like, you're just telling me who's not doing anything. Like, what else is happening? And I tuned in for figure skating on Saturday. And of course, to me, I mean, I've skated, I've played hockey or whatever, but not competitively. I don't know what figure skating is. I've never seen that or done anything. But I'll see this that, like, I'm watching it. I know that they're doing like tricks and jumps, but like I watch one person And I'm like, man, that was pretty good. I like how the music like really fit. And then they're like, oh, 70 points. They really didn't hit it. And I'm like, really hit what? Like, what did they miss? Like, I could see maybe a little lean or whatever. Like, they're not straight up. Next person comes out. Music is slow and boring. They're like just doing almost the same stuff, but it seemed like they're doing it slower. 90 points or something like that. 20 points higher, and they're in first by that margin. Everyone else is like 60, 70 points, and everyone was like, perfect performance. That's the best person. Everyone knows why she's the best. And I'm like, I don't. Tell me why, Matt. Tell me why. That's why I'm watching this, and I'm like, did you just know that person is supposed to be better? It's like, oh yeah, here comes Tom Brady. He's gonna win this throwing contest just because it's Tom Brady. But yeah, they don't. They're just like, it's almost like watching him just throw the ball, but the camera doesn't change, so you don't know what's hitting, or like he's not hitting any targets or anything. So you're watching it and you're like, all right, what's happening here? Give me a score. So did you watch any of that, and how did you feel about it?
The only thing that I saw the highlight from was the skaters from, I think, Russia that gave the male figure skater gave the female figure skater a pile driver. But it was like the beginning part of the performance looked really good, and even knowing that the drop happened, watching it for the first time, I was like, "Ooh, that's really bad."
So
like,
I did see that video.
Guaranteed CTE.
And it looked like she almost caught herself. The guy thought it would be more of a hip. And you're almost worried about the skate hitting. Because remember that hockey player that had his neck slit?
Yeah.
And like there was blood all over the ice. So you can watch the video. It's like almost immediate because he didn't die. So like they showed it as kind of like a hit his jugular or something. And the trainer was able to plug it with his finger like within however many seconds to save his life. But then watching some of these skating, it's like, all right, kind of dangerous. I really don't know what's happening, but I just want to know, how am I supposed to know which team is what? Like, I don't know any of these people. Like, at least with the Summer Olympics, like, I knew Mike Phelps because he was on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know they talk about, like, you said about the Russians, like, they're not even the Russians. They're like the Republic of Russia or something like that. And I know that they're separated from the country, but they're still like scoring it as Russian, right?
Yeah.
The leaderboard has them grouped. At least what they're showing me. I don't know.
Well, I think they have to do it as like a independent whatever. Like they can't do it as part of the country.
Yeah, so they kind of just like form their own Olympics only squad or something. But that's why, like, I just want to know, like, as you're doing the coverage, they have to expect that, like, you have no idea. Think of, like, all the feel-good stories called, like, the college football and, like, ESPN do, where it's like, hey, so-and-so, linebacker from whatever, and they have, like, some story of him, like, working at, like, a children's, like, whatever, volunteering, and it's, like, feel-good stories to get you to connect with these people. The Olympics has none of that. They like tell stories of like where they're from. It's like, yeah, we know. It has their logo right on the shirt. Like, and then it's like, tell me about their parents cheering them on and how hard they work. It's like, give me something that tells me who some of these guys are. Because I think if you don't know them from other things, and the Winter Olympics used to do better job because they would have guys like Shaun White and other like X Games athletes that were doing these other smaller events that kind of built their name up on ESPN. And then NBC's kind of leeching off that and saying like, you know, Shaun White, remember him from all those other things you watched him in? Every other sport is kind of like, yeah, we're not going to do any of that legwork for you. You're just going to know that this person is better. And we're going to tell you to watch it and it's going to be fun, right? Like, keep watching. But I don't know. It's hard to know what's going on. I'm going to look it up and see. Winter Olympics medal count. It seems like the hockey always changes rules on who can compete, who can do this, so it's hard to even watch that and see what's happening.
Yeah.
So Russia's in the lead right now. even though they're ROC or whatever the hell.
Oh, not for long.
And then the United States is fifth, still, or they are fifth. It looks like they only have no golds. And if this is updated, looks like it was updated today at 1 p.m. Norway, Netherlands, China, and then us, which we're tied with China, but we lose, I would imagine, because we don't have any golds. If they do the tiebreaker based on medal. And not even all the countries are here, so I don't even know how good that really is. But are you looking forward to watching any of them?
Honestly, I don't know. I may if I see something that might be interesting, but it's so tough because even I guess maybe it's a little bit of a sour taste left over from the Summer Olympics where you're trying to follow along with what's going on and when things are coming on, and there's no clear like we're going to start about here, we'll start about 9, and then we'll actually show some other sport first, and so I'll tell you, I will end up watching some just to see exactly what the rest of the broadcast is like.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what was this MSN put together for like their viewing guide. Of course, they have Shaun White, and like, hey, he's going to be the first one to win 4 gold medals in the same event. The half pipe thing. It's like, okay, cool. I've heard of Chloe Kim. I don't know what she does. Looks like she might be a snowboarder. Doesn't tell me. Michaela Striffen, I have no idea. Michael Kingsbury, they said I should know him. He's the best athlete in Winter Olympic, and he competes in moguls, whatever that is. I have no idea who or what that is. Team events for skating, don't know. Camila Villela, don't know her. And then no one else I know. So they're giving me a list of people that I'm supposed to know, Matt, and it's not even giving me any information on what they do. Like, it literally says, Michaela Striffen will race in one of her signature events, Tuesday, February 8th at 9:15. What is she racing? Skating? Then, like, Apollo Uno do, like, a skating, like, in a circle? That was pretty sweet, because, like, it was, like, all those tight turns, wasn't it? Wasn't it him?
Yeah.
I don't know what she races. This doesn't even tell me. She looks to bounce back after crashing earlier the week. Okay. So, awesome. That's tonight, Matt, which if you might have already watched it, because I'm reading this a little bit later in the show. So, and of course, tomorrow you've probably already watched it, or maybe just listen to the podcast and you have no idea, and you're like me. Although I'm sure some people listening are like, you don't know that person? How do you not know the Winter Olympic person? And I don't even know where you find this information. Like, ESPN doesn't have a Olympic section on the homepage that tells you like stories about these people. NBC sure as hell doesn't show like any promotion for these, because I watch some NBC stuff. I watch NFL. They never even talked about the Winter Olympics and them hosting it. You know, how many NFL games did I watch on NBC? Was it Sunday night?
Yeah.
Why not do a story on like the United States athletes? Maybe they didn't know who was competing. I would assume you'd kind of know.
You have to know
leading up to it in December. Like, you had 4 games. You're going to be promoting this. That's a good time to have them at the game. Do a little intro into them. Give us a little story. Tell us why we should cheer for them. Bring Shaun White on. Nope. None of that, Matt. None of it. Maybe they're putting them like on, do they do like Today's Show or something? I don't even know what channel that's on, but maybe they do it all in the morning. I don't watch morning TV because I'm working, so I don't know. But that's my beef with the Olympics. I kind of on the same page with you. What are you doing? Fix the Olympics, because right now it really doesn't matter. I mean, with the World Cup, I don't know any of the athletes really either, but I know the teams. And they're not even giving me a United States versus anyone to cheer for, you know? Like, hey, we really got to beat China or Norway in this Salome thing. Tune in to watch, see if the United States can get it done. Some of them, they're like promoting the other country. It's like, why am I cheering for that person? You know?
Well, there was the girl from the United States that defected, like renounced her citizenship to skate for China and then crashed twice.
Yeah, but I almost wonder, did she do that because she didn't make the United States team?
I could see that happening. But
I don't know. I don't know the story.
That's going to be a bad day for her because she finished dead last. So if there's one country that they do not accept failing, it's the Chinese.
I was say not the United States. There's a lot of failing in this country.
There's a lot of failing, but not in the Olympics.
Celebrating it. Well, we're not winning right now. I mean, we better win at least one gold, right?
Well, by
Shaun White.
By the time that final count hits, you know the USA is going to be up on that podium.
They'll be like celebrating a third place finish, like that one meme where the guy's like going crazy. He's at the bottom. That'll be the United States after with Shaun White. But then they'll be like, oh, well, Shaun White, yeah, of course he's the one to win. It's like, well, everyone else had a chance, you know. You can't help it if he shows up. No one else does. But hopefully, we'll give a better recap. I want to keep watching. I'm going to try to find some new stuff. That one guy got hit with that pole, like he ran it over, so of course it like rode up on his groin. And I almost wonder, like, how hard, like, how did that feel? Because it wasn't like an actual like slap, you know. It was almost be like a brush burn, like I would think, which might hurt worse, right?
I don't know. Slamming into it as fast as they were skiing.
Well, he's skiing super fast, and it bent underneath him, so he like slid down. I would almost wonder, like, if you leaned back on a fireman's pole, but it was like 100 feet long because you're going super fast. So like, right?
Just go to the woods and just find a sapling and just run really fast into it.
Well,
you've been doing all that extra training, so you can probably get your speed up there. And just let me know how that works.
Oh, I do. I know. I'm starting to fall into my groove, man. The last couple of weeks, because a couple weeks ago, I think I got sick. Even though like it feels like I never recovered, I've been getting out to it, so I need to start running outside. Because I did sign up for the Big Ten, or no, the Big Ten one, the Big House 5K in Michigan. They like had it so that this year the race is in April. I think last year I started running in like March. Bad idea. So I need to get into it this week or next week. It's been freezing cold, but I have been getting my stuff ready. I've been cleaning out all my old running gear and getting set up. Even if it is cold, I'm going to go out for a little bit. I did run. I don't think it was quite a mile the one day. I went out and I was like, I'm going to go for like a little walk. And I went outside and it was so cold that I was like, I can't even walk in this. I'm miserable. I'm going to have to run. So I just ran it. And then I came back. I'm like, yeah, I was supposed to go for a walk for my lunch break, but instead I just ran. So I'm back in like 10 minutes. I forget how long I ran. I ran up the hill or whatever, but I'm going to get back into it. So I'll be bringing that up. So I'm glad you mentioned it because it is almost the off season. We have one more football game and the Olympics, really. But I did mention, I almost didn't bring it up, but I forgot to mention it. The NFL, for how low their ratings are, they beat, like they had the top 100 events, like in television, 75 of them were the NFL. I'm sure the other ones were like the Oscars or whatever, because no Major League Baseball, no NBA were on that list. And you're like, all the NBA stuff with LeBron, like they can't even make the top 100 one time?
Nope.
Baseball, I know my Braves were in there. But like the NFL, for as much as it gets crapped on, 75 of the top 100 events are NFL games, like ridiculous at that point. So the Olympics, you would think if they would hype it up more, but people are kind of tired. Like they lead it with a bunch of controversy, like, should the United States even be here? But we are, and then tune in to see us play. Like, you're not saying USA needs to prove the rest of the world that we're the best. Tune in, and then I think people would tune in. They're like, yeah, we do need to prove that, right? Not finish whatever place we're in. Let's get into coaching changes, though. Because I talked about it last week, Matt. What did I say? I don't think Jim Harbaugh's been getting NFL offers. He's been trying to go to the NFL for at least 3 years now. And for as much as it didn't seem like he wanted to go last year, he took a pay cut where he cut his salary in half at Michigan. Even Feinbaum, what did Harbaugh call him? What's his real name? Paul Feinbaum?
Yes.
Jim called him Pete. in that interview. He's like, yeah, I heard what Pete said. Which is such a funny slam. So you think the guy, Harbaugh, he knows what he's going on. But I know you're going to get into it later in the show because it annoys you, but like some of the jobs are so bad. Like the Jets last year, where Harbaugh was kind of interested or rumored to be interested in, and the Jets kind of wanted him. It's like when he talks to these teams, he's almost 60 years old at this point. So he's not like 35 going to take any NFL job or whatever, even in his 40s or early 50s. The NFL kind of already pushed him out once. So he went to interview with the Vikings. It was kind of rumored that he was done. The rumors were kind of confirmed that he told Michigan staff that he was taking the job, and he gave them the week off on signing day, which annoyed me because who goes on signing day when the recruiting class is like kind of like, oh yeah, there goes our coach, where we just signed to in a transfer error. Although he kind of already told the players that he might be leaving. Had some coaches with him, apparently, on this trip to the Vikings.
Must not have had Gaddis with him.
No, he did not have Josh Gaddis. So Josh Gaddis then takes the Miami job. And because apparently he told them, like, hey, I'm taking this Vikings job. You guys have the week off. I advise you to start asking around for other jobs. When he comes back, that's why like everyone's saying, oh, he did a classy move. He told them, he was honest with them up front about it. I'm like, yeah, but it's weird, like weird timing, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know, like, I know he's confident. He believes in his ability. He's like, has the fourth or fifth highest winning percentage of all time in the NFL as a head coach. He only coached for 4 years though. So, like, I would think a lot of teams would want to chase him. So maybe it is where he's really looking for a fit. And he thought the Vikings were it. Met with them. And they couldn't agree, so they both just kind of walked away. Because the Vikings said they didn't offer. Harbaugh said that he's not interested. He wants the terms to work out, so he's done looking. He's looked for the NFL for however many years now. And he's done. I don't know if I believe that. Because, like, all it takes is, like, the Raiders or someone to say, hey, we made a mistake last year. And you are going to be the right fit. We're going to make those terms match. And then, how do you know he's not going to say, all right, let's go? I mean, maybe he's kind of given up at this point, trying to find the offer that he wants. He thought that the GM was coming from San Francisco with him or whatever. He knew him from there, so maybe he would have got the control he wanted. And maybe it didn't work out. I don't know. Some of the NFL jobs, they kind of want like a say on who the assistants are, which is kind of weird if you're coming in as an experienced coach like that has been to a Super Bowl. That's why some of these teams have never been to a Super Bowl in like 30 years, Matt.
What's crazy is you look at like the Washington Redskins, like they showed the graphic, and it's even more comical now because with the latest hire, it was like Shanahan was coordinator. You had McVay. You had there was like 4 or 5 guys that were future NFL coaches on that staff, and they couldn't win 4 games.
Yeah, and then they didn't even try to give them a run. Like, hey, we should let you guys take over. It was kind of just like, yeah, you guys are all going to go somewhere else. But looking at this, like, I'm trying to see. The Vikings haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1976, Matt. You would think that you've been close. You think you have a good running team that you're building behind with Cook. Why not go with Harbaugh? He clearly wants to do that. In the NFC, where it's not as cutthroat as the AFC. So why not say, like, hey, Aaron Rodgers might be leaving. Come in and take over this division. I just don't understand why they wouldn't even give him a chance. Like,
well, I would say unique to Harbaugh's situation, I think what he was looking for is he was looking for the stability. Like he wasn't gonna come back on like basically a Michigan type term where he's constantly on the hot seat. Like I think he was looking for. It was rumored that he was looking for a Gruden style thing with the Raiders, and there was a little bit of heat to that. But then they realized like. We just got out of this situation, like where we had to fire Gruden and paying him like $1 gazillion. So we're not going to get back into this situation where we're going to like give you a 10-year, $150 million contract.
Well, I thought it was crazy because I saw a lot of hot takes where it was like, yeah, Harbaugh's like a joker, and like, oh, this is clearly he had this in his own mind that they were going to hire him, and they clearly weren't. And even I said like, hey, if he's gone, he's gone. He has had the opportunity, but something's not working out, right? I think I said it on the show last week. Like, at this point, it doesn't matter either way because he's hurt in Michigan. Like, just get him out if he wants out. And then the Vikings, for whatever reason, they bring him in knowing that he kind of wants that long-term deal. Maybe not even the control he wanted because maybe he doesn't want that. I think he just wanted, like you said, a long-term deal, like 8 years, to see if he can rebuild it.
Now, I just want to throw 4 teams at you right now. I'm going to say the Bears, the Giants, the Jags. I'll make it extra. Dolphins, Texans. Of those teams, which one or ones do you feel like are aligned for immediate success?
Well, see, that's where I think Harbaugh waited. Because, like, the Vikings are more his style, where it's run first, whatever. The Bears don't have that. The Dolphins kind of have the talent out of those teams. Who are there? What you said, the Texans? They're a mess because of they're letting contract situations and quarterbacks hold them hostage.
Yes.
And then what's the other one you said?
The Dolphins and Jags.
Yeah, all the Jags are the one I forgot. They have a rookie quarterback. They would be the next team, I would think, for Harbaugh. I think that they saw what happened with Urban, and they were just looking for an NFL guy, right? Is that who they got? Did they get Peterson?
Yeah. Jags got Peterson.
Yeah, so, like, let's be honest. If you were the NFL and you're like, hey, we're going to hire Jim Harbaugh, a guy that coached in the Super Bowl, and they said, no, we're going to hire Peterson, the guy that actually won the Super Bowl, I think that would win, right? Like, that hire makes sense to me. None of these other ones, like the Raiders hiring Josh McDaniels over Harbaugh, was kind of like a, what the hell are you doing? Like, it makes zero sense, and I know it's not going to work. And if it does work, and I'm wrong, awesome. Not a Raiders fan by any means. I just like John Gruden before his whole little meltdown.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, like Lovie Smith, awesome. Awesome hire. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out because it's already failed. The Dolphins went with Mike McDaniel. I was kind of like, that's who you went with? I know they had their own situation that I don't think he's ever been a head coach, right?
Right.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but
well, with McDaniel, he was a guy that he hasn't played. Like, they always put such a high pedigree on people that have either played in the league or had that high level experience, and he hadn't played at college level or pro level.
Yeah, but what about my man Leftwich? He just coached in a Super Bowl, a winning team. I know with Tom Brady, but he made it work with players that he didn't really know.
Right.
And then, I mean, I don't know. The NFL stuff is so weird at this point. They're just recycling guys.
With Lovie Smith, they were speculating that it was going to be that they were looking to internally promote McCown to head coach, but then because they were going to feel that extra pressure because of Brian Flores's lawsuit, that then they went in with Lovie Smith. But I started thinking, like, when you look at some of these jobs that like the Jags or the Dolphins, or I mean, hell, the Giants, like, what is so attractive other than the media market? What's attractive about those programs? So if you take a Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy's been mentioned for a lot of these NFL teams. I almost question, do those guys know that, like, some of those aren't good situations to go into? So, like,
yeah,
do you stay with Kansas City, or do you go, hey, this owner is an asshole and I'm going to have no freedom to bring the players in that I want? I mean, if Miami's owner is saying, I'll pay you to lose, like, how is that helping anyone. Like, that's not advancing anyone's career. No one's going to be happy with that. If that's actually true, like, I can see why Flores got pissed off. I was like, no, I'm not going to purposefully lose.
Well, see, I think that one, they were already 0-9, right? So the rumor like matches up where they won like the last 7 games, remember? That took them out of the running for the top pick.
Yeah.
So it's like, Flores, I know it's like absurd, but like I'm seeing both sides of it here where it's like you're turning on your coaching material now? Like, didn't you already blow it? Like, there's no chance of you making the playoffs. There's no chance of doing this. Like, I know the NBA teams tank. Rest some players up, you know? Because, like, look at the Panthers. You can't tell me that they weren't tanking. They, like, didn't let Christian McCaffrey play the last 2 years, Matt.
Yeah.
You're telling me that he was that injured or just because the team was complete shit, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. Everyone knows when the best players are hurt with a nagging injury that, like, no one else, they seem fine and they're, like, hanging out and doing workouts and stuff, but yet they just can't play. It's kind of like a red flag that, like, hey, maybe they are just sitting their best guys, you know, and saving them because they know that, like, all these touches add up and you might lose 1 year where you are competitive. So, like, maybe that's what the Dolphins were doing, but, like, throwing everything together, it's kind of like if your owner's telling you, like, yo, rest these guys, I have a hard time believing that anyone's going to tell them, like, hey, I'll give you this much money. I think probably what was said was, hey, you should rest our guys. We're out of it this year, and I'll still pay you the bonus, right? Because that's what it made it seem like, the lawsuit, was that he had a bonus if they got so many wins or whatever.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to pay you to lose the game. It was more like, hey, rest of the guys, don't worry about it. I'll still give you the bonus. To me, maybe the lawsuit will find more information where it's more than that. But sometimes that kind of makes sense where, like, hey, we know you're worried about your job. I'm going to let you know that you're not on the hot seat. I understand. You're still going to get the bonus this year. Just make sure you rest the guys. Don't worry too much about trying to force those wins late in the season. Like, that had to be how the conversation went, right?
I would think.
I don't think it's going to be like, hey, we need to lose. I'm going to give you $100,000 if you lose this game. Because that just seems absurd, although there was a bounty game with the Saints. No one really cared about that either, remember?
Yeah, it's not too far out of the realm of possibility.
So, I don't know, but I agree with you. I think some teams are bad situations, and if they don't clean house, like I said, sometimes you need to clean house. That's why you see some of these teams that are able to rebound, where, like, the Buccaneers are able to put together a situation where they're putting Tom Brady in a place where he can succeed because they've had that culture instilled with, like, Tony Dungy and John Gruden. Even though it hasn't really worked out, they have that in place. The 49ers, for as much sabotaging as they do, have a championship caliber stuff in place with the staff and the fans and everything. And all they need to do is put it together and quit, like, meddling, you know? It's almost like you're so close. What are you doing? Like, why are you pushing Garoppolo out? Stop meddling. Just let the team do their thing. I'm pretty sure the coach isn't going to be like, hey, we need to get rid of this guy as they're going to the Super Bowl, you know? Like, that has to be more front office meddling. Same with the Cowboys. Like, we know why they haven't been succeeding.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants, when they lost Tom Coughlin, when he was doing all that stuff, and then he tried to build that culture at Jacksonville, right? And they actually made the playoffs. Then they're like, this is too rough, Tom. And they've been garbage since. So it's like, oh, maybe he did know what he was doing, you know? Building, like, a winning program. Sometimes you have to be hard. It's football. It's not like something else, but I don't know. That's why I wonder if Aaron Rodgers does leave, the Packers have that winning culture in place. They've always had it in place. If he leaves and they just backfill, because there's some rumors about, like, having Drew Lock maybe in that package deal if he goes to the Broncos. Like, what if he would go there and win, like, 12 games? It's like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't so much Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. It's not like they're winning the playoff games with Aaron Rodgers, you know? Maybe it's kind of just he builds stats because of the teams that they get to play, you know, because the Lions and those other teams struggle so much. Let's see. I don't know if I have any other really big coaching things. I could talk about Gaddis leaving. I think that's just going to Miami is, let's be honest, a clear step down. People are saying that's a lateral move. That's not a lateral move.
No.
Miami's not the team that they used to be. If he would have went to Florida State or Clemson in the ACC, I would say, like, okay, yeah, that's a lateral move. He just wants to get away from Harbaugh. He was close enough to going right to a head coach job, right? He was talked about for the Virginia Tech opening. He won the Briles Award, which I think that's what it is, or Broyles Award, whatever the assistant one is. And normally, like, they become head coaches right after that sometime. So you would think that he'd have one more year here. I think a lot of people are hesitant on him, and that's why I told you, like, I don't think it's a big loss. I'm not saying he didn't deserve the award, but if you watch the offense, when it struggles is when I think he's putting it together. They had a co-offensive coordinator thing where the run game is pretty much picked up by someone else. So he's focused on the passing. The passing has been Michigan's worst part, where they haven't had big time receiving numbers, you know? So, like, Gaddis is leaving from that. I think the best passing coordinator Michigan had was Jed Fish. I think he's still the head coach of Arizona. I know they've had some rough years or whatever. But I think that was the best coordinator Harbaugh had that meshed with what he wanted to do. And he only had him for that 1 year, I think 2015. After that, he had Pep Hamilton. They ran a lot of, like, long developing routes. I think Gaddis, the big thing with him is he got away from that and brought some of those more quick passing things in. I just don't think it took a lot for his offense to really mesh with the run game. Like, he was kind of fighting against it too much. They weren't running a lot of stuff that worked well with Gaddis when he first got there.
And Pep's going to be the OC for the Texans now.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of his stuff worked. If you watch that documentary from when they were, was it 2017 when they had the bad year? They were on Amazon or whatever, and they had the transfer quarterback, O'Corn, and he was missing a lot of reads. Like, Pep Hamilton was visibly upset that there were a lot of passing routes that really worked that just never developed or had a chance. They're looking at the wrong guy. And so, like, with Gaddis, I really wonder how the offense is going to look at Miami. Because I don't think Michigan's offense is going to be much of a difference. I mean, honestly, I think Harbaugh was calling a lot of it. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of the announcers always said about how much Gaddis is doing. I think that might have just been marketing talk from Harbaugh. Well, I've watched Harbaugh coach for like a decade now. His offense is all very similar. So I know he has a hand in it. And the fact that his assistant, Weiss, I think, is how you pronounce it, the guy he brought from the Ravens, was going to be the OC. I mean, that's who he took with him to the interview with the Vikings. So like, now he's probably just going to be the OC at Michigan next year. And even Mike Hart came out and said that he had a lot to do with the offensive play calling last year, which, if you watch, Michigan went from an offense that was barely scoring on Army, Matt, with Josh Gaddis, to hiring this guy from the Ravens and then winning the Big Ten championship. So maybe Michigan doesn't miss a beat.
No.
And the other thing that kind of is weird is Gaddis was pulled off the recruiting trail. So he wasn't even recruiting. So, like, he's not recruiting. He's not going to be the next head coach. There were rumors that if it was going to be internal, that they were actually leading on bringing Mike Hart up, because he's already the assistant head coach and doing more of like a CEO type thing. That's the rumor. I mean, Weiss would have went with Harbaugh to Minnesota, but I'm assuming he could have brought in his own OC or whatever and DC and just tried to build Michigan's program, which I said all along, Michigan's such a big program, that's all they need. They don't need a hands-on guy that's in there. They need a guy like Nick Saban that can just bring in a bunch of old coaches that can just be rehabilitated or whatever there and have the program. You're the head man, staying out of controversy, not interviewing with the Vikings on signing day, and doing like your own stuff. Like that's where, like, now there's rumors that other guys might leave, but I don't know if they really are, because a lot of the coaches have kind of stuck with Harbaugh because he had kind of looped them in, right? The only one that seemed slighted was Gaddis. I mean, McDonald had already went back to the NFL, and it looks like they're hiring the other Ravens guy as defensive coordinator from Vanderbilt that was there for a year. Minter, maybe. I can't remember who was there. But it looks like Harbaugh's just like calling his brother up and saying like, hey, who should I hire? And he's telling him like, oh yeah, I got this guy and this guy. So it's like Michigan's coaches are basically the Ravens, which can't hurt recruiting either. So even if Mike Hart would have stepped in with no experience and a late hire, I know he's a Michigan former player, has like really no experience, so people would have been destroying him. But he loves the program, gets the rivalries. Maybe it would have worked. It wouldn't have been that crazy if he's able to just keep some of these like Ravens guys around. Like as Harbaugh goes to the NFL, John Harbaugh passes a bunch of Ravens assistants down to Mike Hart, and that's the Michigan staff. It would have been weird, but weirder things have been successful. So who knows? We'll see what else happens. If Harbaugh, he said he's not interviewing in the NFL anymore because he wanted to win a Super Bowl, but he can't get teams to whatever agree, so he doesn't want to keep doing it every year. I'll believe it when I see like a long-term Michigan deal. Because he had one, took the pay cut. It seemed like he was pissed off. Maybe he's done with that. I don't know. But we'll see. None of the NFL hires really excited me, like I said. I was expecting a little bit better. I thought Leftwich would go somewhere. Maybe he didn't want to. Bieniemy. And if people were saying that Harbaugh should just offer Bieniemy the OC job. And I'm like, yeah, but he could probably get a head coaching job. That's like insane. And some people were saying that he should offer Sean Payton. If Sean Payton still wants to be around the game but doesn't want the responsibilities. Could you imagine if Sean Payton just like, hey, I'm done with the Saints. I'm going to go coach offense at Michigan. Like, that would just be, that's almost idiotic to think that. But throw enough money at a guy, who knows? You'd have like the so-and-so named position, Sean Payton, offensive coordinator. Like the first named offensive coordinator, big time position in the history of college football. And then 2 years from now, Alabama would have like 3 of those guys. They're like, we're not going to let you hire Sean Payton, you idiots. What are you doing? He's supposed to be in the booth. Urban Meyer, Ohio State would hire Urban Meyer, which Urban Meyer was back on campus, I heard, at Ohio State. It's like, what's he doing there?
Getting a date.
He had his Amazon packages delivered. He had to go pick them up. Since Zach Smith has that restriction against him, remember? his previous thing. He's like, Herb, can you pick these up for me? He's like, gladly. Hey, fellow teammates, beat Michigan. That's what they said he said. He like popped into a meeting and said, make sure you beat that team up north. And they're like, was that Urban Meyer? Why is he here? Anything else you have coaching exchanges wise?
No, just overall frustrated with the NFL that there were a handful of retreads again. That it's just like you really don't have anyone new that you can try to give these jobs. You got to go back through the wash to try to find someone who power failed the first time around.
Well, that's why I heard both sides of the Flores thing, and they were like, well, he shouldn't even take a job to prove his point. And I thought, yeah, but then that's one less coach. That's one less black coach. If I were him, I would get the job and then just try to hire more black coaches, on my staff. Because if you can build a coaching tree, look at like what Andy Reid has with all his coaching staffs or whatever. If you have them and you have them full of assistants, right now, like you're saying, the Redskins had a bunch of white guys. And then they were so bad but those guys are still getting hired elsewhere. So like I thought if Flores would have been like offered the Texans job, take it and build the staff the way you want it. Because then you wouldn't have any of the controversy or whatever. So that's what I wanted to see from him. Taking a step away just to sue. That's what I had said, and I probably worded it poorly, but the suing kind of put him on a blacklist where they're kind of say, we're not going to hire you because you have pending litigation against us. So I thought that was like a crazy move where you could have leaked the Bill Belichick thing and said like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't get it because they already hired someone I interviewed tomorrow. #rigged, I think that would have blew up. But maybe that's more of like a Harbaugh thing where he would put something like that out. He needs to get on Harbaugh's side of like, how do you get the media to be on your side and think that you're just going to be hired? And then you can be like, he interviewed for like 9 hours or something, they said. And then, like, I thought the Vikings fans, this is going to be my final bell, so I thought everyone was, like, laughing at Harbaugh. Vikings fans were visibly upset they were like talking about how the ownership's inept and how they should have hired Harbaugh no matter what and all this stuff. And I'm like, it makes sense though. They've been so close to the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Why not bring a guy in that's hungry, that has got to the Super Bowl? And like, let's say he coached for 4 years with the Niners, went to the Super Bowl once, went to 3 NFC championships, Matt. That's insane. So like, even if he gets let's say he doesn't even make it to the Super Bowl, at least if the Vikings are in 2 of the next 4 NFC championship games, that's worth it, because right now they're not going to be in any in the next 4 years, right? I don't think so.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't think.
I mean, with Kirk Cousins, like, what would have changed? What would have changed right now where you think, all right, yep, that's it? I mean, I don't know what their roster situation is, but you have Jefferson, you have Thielen, you have Cook. That's a good Harbaugh offense, right? And
yeah, but
he can put the defense together.
But if they were like, we want to sign you to a 4-year or 5-year deal, and he's like, no, you will sign me to 10. Like, go kick rocks.
Well, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But he's back in Michigan now, and let's see how long he'll be back. We'll talk next week. We'll have a show, and he'll be like, hey, he's the new head coach of the Jets right now. Or something. I'll be like, didn't even know. He said he wasn't going to go. So that's all I have. Anything for the final bell?
No, just check out our website, and thank you for your support.
Yep. Watch the Super Bowl. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.